Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Reach out to me directly for pricing, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today, we're discussing a special edition released in 2016 to celebrate the opening of Lange Sohne in Tokyo. This is the Lange Sohne Saxonia Automatic, and this is the Ginza Terra-Brown edition. It has a Terra-Brown or terracotta brown dial inside a 38.5 millimeter diameter rose gold case that I measure at 8.2 millimeters thick, 44.3 millimeters from lug to lug, with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs that will accept a huge range of OEM and aftermarket straps. So this Tokyo Boutique celebratory edition looks wonderful on the skin. You can see a handsome brown dial and rose gold case is a lovely, warm, almost tropical aesthetic. Now, the timepiece is wonderfully slim, so it'll work well as a dress watch underneath a tight cuff, but this is a watch that you don't want to disappear. You want it to remain visible. It's got a huge visual signature for a relatively simple three-hand timepiece, and I can recommend it for a wrist as small as 13 centimeters circumference because it is so narrow across the wrist and flat. Taking a quick look at the strap, you can see it's a reddish brown. It is a high gloss, medium rectangular scale alligator leather. It's got some bolstering in the center to add thickness. It has a folded edge, a monotone stitch, and then calfskin on the bottom. And you can see this is a brand new Lange factory strap. It has a pin buckle that is simple but thoughtful. It's handsome. You can see that externally, but it's also clever. And you can see why, because Lange has elevated the bridge above the prongs. So you can see these prongs, one on each side. They sort of flank the strap rather than sitting atop. So the strap fits inside the buckle rather than stacking up thick underneath it. And if you're like me and you have a small wrist and you're going to use the smallest hole or maybe even punch a smaller hole, there's a little restraining bar inside the buckle that will prevent the watch from being inextricably strapped to the wrist. So in other words, the strap will not get pinned on the pin thanks to this restraining bar, making it easier to remove the watch from a small wrist. The case is familiar from Lange. We have stepped out lugs and they're of high polish. The case band is satinated. It's vertical and then it's got a little bit of a domed bezel profile and a recessed case back. So a contrast between satin and polish. We have a Lange branded crown, sapphire crystal, with a very, very slight domed profile. We have a dial that is a lovely sort of matte or opaline brown. Now, terracotta, Terra-Brown, lovely to see, nicely matched to rose gold. We have a counterweighted lancet-style seconds hand and a sunken sub-register for seconds, and we have polished alpha-style hands with a gorgeous polished cannon pinion underneath, applique faceted and polished hour indices that are doubled at the four corners, and a lovely vaulted Lange logo across the top. Turn it all over, and we have caliber L086. This movement is an automatic winder with a 72-hour power reserve, a 3 hertz beat rate. You can see it pivots on 31 joules. It's adjusted in a chronometer-style 5 positions. It does feature stop seconds and has a couple of interesting refinements, starting with a rotor that's comprised of two elements. The outer component, the mass, is made of platinum, and it's held to this yellow gold gilded rotor by fired blued screws. All of this is 30 meters water resistant. You can see right here. It features a 3/4 style bridge, a nod to East German pocket watch manufacture in the pre-modern era. We also have a combination of black polished and blued screws. You can see blued screws, but then also black polished screws on the movement. We have a black polished swan's neck fine adjustment mechanism for regulating the watch. And then you can see underneath that a freehand engraved balance cock. This is done using a burin, not an engine of any kind. No drill bit, no lathe. All of this is done manually by hand and is a signature of Lange watchmaking. You can see we have engine-turned perlage on the base plate. We also have quite a bit of mirrored anglage. There aren't too many edges to the bridges here, but you can see what's there is beautifully mirror beveled and quite attractive. We have stripes across the bridges, and both bridges and plates constructed of nickel, copper, and zinc, that alloy often known as German silver. It is not silver, in fact. It gets its golden hue from the copper in the alloy. Reach out to Tim Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.